How we doing, everybody? It's been a while since my last tier list. The first tier list of the series was an attackers tier list, the first of FC 26, where we did strikers and wingers. It was about a 40-minute video. There was over 100 attackers. There are 60 cams here today in the cam tier list. Now, there will be some cams that are more centre mids, which will be in my CDM/centre mid tier list video. So we've tried to choose just purely cams, and as well, I have also excluded some of the, like Maradona, Pele, Zidane, who are millions of coins. I've gone for players that I have either used or played against, so had a experience with, or players that are very common and many people do have, because as I said, it would just be a little bit silly to have Maradona, etc. Now, there is no evolutions on this tier list because it does not let me upload evolution, so if there's an evolution you want me to check out, comment down below the evolution chain, etc., and I'll reply with what tier I would have put them in. I've got best in the game as the best tier. We've then got very meta, A tier, B tier, and then C tier at the bottom. Just because the card goes in the C tier or B tier does not mean they're bad, because I have chosen 60 of the best, most popular meta cams that are in the game now anyway. So if we're on the tier list, then that is a good direction, albeit probably as someone that I've just completely accidentally forgot. Like in the attackers tier list, somehow I forgot to put Salah on there. But anyway, enough rambling, let's get ranking. Do you guys want coins to be able to afford the best players on the game? Yeah. Then head on over to u7buy.com for the cheapest, quickest, and safest coins available. U7buy is supported by some of the biggest content creators, along with the most positive reviews in the community. Make sure to use discount code Davis for 8% off of your order. Links are in the description or the pinned comment down below. Along with coins, you can also use my discount code for U7buy's boosting services. Once again, that's Davis at checkout, DAVIS, for 8% off of your order. Also, a good thing, I feel like I've kind of waited. It wasn't on purpose. It's been about a week since my attackers tier list, or a week and a half. Since then, we've actually had the patch, which is good, because now I played a full weekend league with a patch, so we can make some adjustments based off of that. Now, we're going to start with the best in the game, and we'll just do it from order of, as the cards come. Now, best in the game, I'm going to go for Putellas and Bonmati. Now, yes, Bonmati has got the technical plus, which has been majorly nerfed. Majorly nerfed. And I've actually put Putellas above Bonmati now, because I think with that technical plus nerf, it just puts Putellas above Bonmati for me. Also, Putellas is 5-star, 5-star, Bonmati 4-star, 5-star, which is still completely fine. Absolutely fantastic, two absolutely fantastic cards. If you see a Spanish centre mid Barcelona, you're hoping it is one of these two, Bonmati or Putellas, rather than a Pedri even. But yeah, no, these guys are absolutely incredible, and even with the technical plus, and first touch plus is a good play style. It's not maybe as good as an incisive plus or tiki-taka, but the regular play styles just tick all the boxes. They're absolutely fantastic. Jude Bellingham, now we'll have to see, and we may change as we go, but I'm more so as an A than a very meta. Now, I actually think he's better as a centre mid because of his body type. For me, I'm not a fan of having your cams, the taller cams. It can work as a shadow striker, but for me, I'm going to say A tier rather than very meta, just because we will see some of the cards that we do put into the very meta. Now, Wirtz for me, I'm pretty sure Wirtz is very meta for me, and the 89 Wirtz, the ratings reload. Now, it may seem crazy having a 600,000 coin Wirtz in very meta rather than best in the game, but the thing is, with this Wirtz card, a huge reason why he's so expensive is just because he's very unattainable. I think this is an awful priced card for what you get. If you packed him, cool, but if you had 700k, I think you'd be silly to buy this Wirtz when you can get his gold rare, which has only got one less pace, one less shooting, and one less passing for 500, in fact 600,000 coins cheaper. The reason this card is so expensive is because he was very rare and very hard to get, not because he's actually worth that. I think you'd be silly to spend 690k, so I kind of look at these two cards as like the same card. This tier list would also work if you just removed him. Look, in fact, we're going to do that. We're just going to do that. We're going to get rid of our rating reload Wirtz because they are so essentially the same card. Like, look at the play styles. They're exactly the same. Now, the difference with player roles is this one can play as a striker advanced forward, and a shadow striker plus and playmaker plus. Whereas this gold rare one cannot play as an advanced forward. I feel like there's another one we're missing. Also 9, centre mid playmaker, but we're not ranking them as a centre mid. And if you were to use him as a shadow striker, yes, this one has got a plus plus, but for me, I think with that incisive, and I think for me, Wirtz is more of a playmaker anyway. I prefer playmakers. So personally, in that cam role, you'll just be better off buying this card. They're very similar, but essentially the same card, right? Great playstyles, incisive plus is awesome, so I'm going to have Wirtz in the very meta. Now, Vitinha, I'm going to say A tier. Same case as Bellingham. I think he's better as a centre mid rather than a cam. He can play as a cam, but I believe he's got no playmaker, or he's got no cam player roles full stop. So yeah, great playstyles, and he could still work as a cam because he can play there, but I am going to say he's more of a centre mid than a cam. Pedri is the same for me. I actually did use this Pedri in my 4-1-4-1 as a playmaker centre mid, and he worked really, really nicely. Yeah, great incisive tiki-taka technical, but I do think a step below Wirtz. Mariona, the exact same case, but for her, I actually think she is more of a centre mid because her defending is actually pretty nice as well. More of a centre mid than a cam, or rather a Wirtz, but Mariona goes into the A tier as well. Now, Debinha, these Debinha cards, these are tricky, man. I actually feel like the difference between them, we'll have a look, but my first instinct is to have this new Scream Debinha actually in a tier above the Inform Debinha. As with the gold rare Debinha, should probably be on very meta as well with her Inform. So that's the gold Debinha, and the difference between her and an Inform is very, you know, I mean, to be fair, it is, you know, some +2s and +1s, but playstyle wise, it's the same. She can't play as a playmaker as a team of the week cam. She can as a Scream. Oh yeah, it's good to know. Yeah, that kind of, oh no, she can play playmaker ++ on gold rare. What am I on about? So that's awesome. That's awesome. To be fair with her as well, the debate a shadow striker, but the Scream one, wow. Yeah, no, I think the Scream one for me, because when you are comparing them, also that quick step over the Trickster, I think that's the only difference with the playstyles. Otherwise it is +1s. You know what, no, we'll have the Scream Debinha in the best in the game, just because although the Trickster Plus is cool and all, a regular Trickster is more than fine, and you would rather that quick step one. By the way, like, although technical's been nerfed, left stick dribbling hasn't, right? And with the jockey buff, it's actually really important now to still have a good left stick. Debinha has got one of the best left sticks in the game. Dude, I played her the other day, I think in Champs. I think it might have been her Team of the Week card we played, but I just couldn't get near her. If you can left stick dribble, then Debinha is gonna be her. Sissi, I've got in the very meta. This is the pre-order Icon Sissi, and whilst we're at it, we'll also get the regular Icon Sissi, who I'm going to have very meta as well. Now, the pre-order Sissi has actually got better playstyles, base playstyles, than the Icon, but the Icon does have that incisive plus. Therefore, for me, the Icon does deserve to be on the same tier. Both into very meta. Sure, 3-star weak foot, she can be a bit predictable, but her left stick dribbling also very good. Musiala, post-patch, the technical isn't as good, and I almost feel like pre-patch he'll probably be best in the game. Post-patch, I'm leaning more towards very meta. He may be only 20k, which is still a ridiculously good price to pay. Would I rather him than a Sissi? I don't know, man. Post-patch, maybe post-patch I would have had him very meta, and now he's more closer to the A tier. I think 18k is a fantastic price to pay for him, mind you. Look, you know what? I'm going to say post-patch with the technical plus, with a little bit, hit it with a little bit of a nerf. A couple steps below Bonmati, who's also got the technical plus. I'm going to say A tier for Musiala. If it was pre-patch, he definitely would have been very meta. Maybe best in the game, but probably very meta. I'm going to say A tier for him. Rui Costa, I've actually gotten a very meta, and that may be a very unpopular opinion. Now, there is lots of hero packs and hero gamble species out, therefore lots of people do have him, but having that regular tiki-taka along with that incisive plus is awesome, and do not underestimate the inventive. Now, I didn't really figure out how OP it was until a mate of mine, cheeky 15-0 gamer he is, I'm around that 12-13 win mark, or 12-13's maybe pushing a bit, that 12 or so mark, right? Where I'm trying to push to that 13-14, and I was having a chat to him, and ever since he told me to do inventive through balls, right? So you hold down on left trigger and do the through ball, and it does that like outside of a foot through ball. As soon as he's got me on them, wow, it has just changed my game, man. So with that incisive plus, mixed with that inventive inside, like that inventive through balls, very, very nice combination to have. Cole Palmer's 88, I'm going to have in the very meta tier. You know what, no, we're going to move Musiala back to the very meta. Look, he may only be 20k, which is a ridiculously good price, but I'm actually going to move him back to the very meta. I think just the fact that he has got, and if I remember correctly, he has got the regular incisive and the low driven and inventive as well. So based on that, we will have him very meta. And I'm going to put the gold rare Palmer into the A tier. I think gold rare Palmer is a really good pickup for the price. And yeah, the 88 one I will have in a step above. 88 is at rating reload, I'm pretty sure it is. Bruno Fernandes. I think he is more suited to a centre mid, but he'll still be fantastic as a cam, specifically maybe a central cam. Lavelle, I'm going to say A tier. I do think she could be a little bit more agile for that 5'4". I think her agility and balance could be a bit higher. But still really nice. We'll say A tier for her. Kevin De Bruyne, we've got in the very meta tier. I haven't used him, but I have played him in champs, and oh my goodness, man. Like, I played him, and within the first, like, minute my opponent had possession, the first in-game minute, incisive plus through ball and through to a striker, and he scored. It just, like, through... Incisive plus is so important, man. Just goes through your defense, bro. It's very hard to defend against, let's just say that. So, yeah, De Bruyne, very meta tier. That is the rating reload De Bruyne, I believe. And Lionel Messi's rating reloads we're going to have in the best in the game. And the gold rare card, I'm going to say is a couple steps below now. We're going to say A tier. He's got no cam player roles, I believe, or his only cam player role is a half winger. And I think the same might go for his rating reload. He has got a tiki-taka plus, which is really nice with that cam. Whereas this one has got a finesse plus, which is still very nice, but still that regular tiki-taka. But I do think stats-wise, he's got a pretty big boost up from his gold rare. So I will say his gold rare is A tier, whilst his rating reloads is in the best in the game. Hamsik is very meta or best in the game. It's one of these two. It's one of these two, and I'm actually leaning more towards best in the game for Hamsik. If you're comparing him to someone like a Rui Costa, I would rather a Hamsik. He has got this new promo who we're not going to rank because I haven't tried him as of yet. I do think a tiki-taka could have been nice. You know what? We'll say very meta for this Hamsik card. I think I've only played him once. I've not used him, so take this on with a pinch of salt. I don't have too much experience with this Hamsik card, but I have heard very good things from people that have used him. Now, Heaps, she does have an incisive plus pass, which does help. Heaps. Get it? Get it? Get it, guys? Now, if we have a look at Heaps' other playstyles, though, she has got the inventive, no tiki-taka, a finesse shot is pretty nice as well. Now, I did use her, granted it was a lot earlier on into the game, but I wasn't a fan of that 68 balance. It was actually pretty disappointing because you kind of have like maybe just something in your mind where you're always like, women on the left stick dribble are going to feel better because they're smaller, but she is 5'9", and yeah, 68 balance. I'm going to say B tier for her. The reason she's not C tier is because of that incisive playstyle plus. Martin Odegaard, same case for him. I'm going to say B tier with a 2-star weak foot. He's very predictable. Everyone knows he's left-footed. But yeah, that incisive plus, you can still just get a job done with him, can't you? Perez, that finesse shot plus is really good. Now, he can't play as a playmaker, but I think with the Perez, you're more going to be using him as a shadow striker anyway. It's a tricky one, man. It's a tricky one. I'm going to say very meta for Perez. I'm going to say very meta for Cole as well. Now, Reijnders rating reload, I'm going to say best in the game, whilst I've got his gold rare in the very meta. Now, first of all, we'll go with Perez and Cole. Now, Perez, not yet, but should be getting an SBC soon, I believe. Cole already had an SBC, and I think they're really nice cams, although they can't play, specifically in Cole's case, he can't play as a playmaker player role. I'd still play him as a playmaker player role because all of his play styles really suit that. Now, when it comes to Reijnders, I do think he's better as a centre mid, but as a cam, it's still hard not to consider him best in the game. The rating reload Reijnders, I do actually have a step above because unlike Wirtz, it is actually pluses in every stat. In fact, it is a +2 in shooting and dribbling as well. But when you look at these play styles, he's got the incisive and that tiki-taka plus, which is just really important. The shooting is more than good enough. He is 6'1", so it depends if you don't mind those, you know, maybe taller cams, those taller 10s. But for me, I've got the rating reload in the best in the game with the regular gold rare in the very meta. Now, his rating reload can also play as a playmaker player role cam, where his gold rare cannot, right? So keep that in mind, but I'm pretty happy with that. Douay, I'm leaning more towards very meta. I'm leaning more towards very meta with Douay. He's just not a cam. I think if you pack this Douay card, I think you're better off using him out wide. And I did use his gold rare card, and I used him as a right mid. Now, he does have a playmaker plus, but with no incisive or tiki-taka, you're almost more going to use him as a shadow striker, which he actually doesn't have a play style or player role for shadow striker anyway. Yeah, look, I think he's probably overpriced, to be honest, as a cam anyway. You're not going to be buying him to use him as a cam. Maybe for a winger more than a cam, but if you were to use him as a cam, well, he'll still be nice, and I think you'll maybe ignore that playmaker and use him as a shadow striker, and with a technical nerf now as well, it's a tricky one, but we'll keep him in very meta. McTominay, I'm going to say A tier. Incisive Plus is absolutely awesome. Not a fan of a 3-star though, and he can be a little bit heavy on the ball. I did play this McTominay, and yeah, I mean, I defended him quite well. I contained him quite well. Szoboszlai, I'm going to say is A tier. I think Szoboszlai massively missing I think it's a tiki-taka and incisive. No, he's got incisive, just a tiki-taka. But that dead ball plus as well, not really what you want for your playstyle plus, to be honest. Technical, whipped pass, more better out wide. Power shot, not great. His only really good player role here. Technical, still decent, but that incisive is really the only one that screams out to you as a cam. So I'm going to say, for Szoboszlai, I'm going to say A tier. Iniesta, I've got in the very meta. Now, I did pack him from my pre-order hero icon pack, sorry. Now, he is very nice, but he's also like, you use him, and then he has a really poor game, and you're like, wow, you're so bad. And then you replace him, but then you kind of realize how good he actually is. So, he's very good, but I will tell you guys, I'm patiently waiting for him to get that upgrade, get that incisive playstyle plus. I think we're still about half a month out. I'm pretty sure it was mid-November, so that will be really nice when we do eventually get that. Dybala, I've got in the B tier. The Game Changer is really nice, to be fair. The Game Changer is, I say really nice. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Maybe more so as a shadow striker than a playmaker, but when he does have the incisive, he can work as a playmaker really well. But I will say maybe, I say outdated. He's definitely not outdated, but more closer to a Heaps and an Odegaard than the others. Landon Donovan, I've got in the A tier. I think as a shadow striker, he can work quite nicely. Rosicky, he's got the inventive plus. I'm going to say A tier for Rosicky. Does he have the incisive? And I should know this because I packed him from my hero. He does have the incisive and the tiki-taka. He does have the incisive and the tiki-taka and the playmaker plus. When I have used him, I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised with him. So I might actually bump him up to the very meta for a cam anyway. Landon Donovan, no, I am going to keep in the A tier. I keep going on about it, but when we did do a hero tier list ranking Landon Donovan and I had him in, you know, one of the lower tiers, someone was not really happy. But I think for the play styles, with no playmaking play styles, as a cam anyway, I'd much prefer a Rosicky for me. Guti, very meta. If you don't mind at all the cams, like a Reijnders, you'll love a Guti. Incisive plus, you guys know how good that is. Morgan Rogers, I feel like I very rarely see Morgan Rogers in game. I like barely ever see anybody using a Morgan Rogers. Now, he was from the season pass. He's got the incisive and enforcer to maybe help with that 6'2". I actually feel like he'd work more as a centre mid than a cam with that body type and use that incisive from deep. Look, I am going to say I'm going to bump him down to the A tier because I'd rather everyone in the very meta is my cam personally. I'd rather a Costa, I'd rather a Rosicky, Guti, etc. So I will bump him down to the A tier. He's closer to a Landon Donovan for me. But I think with 71 defending, he might be a pretty good centre mid, you know. Arda Güler, fantastic value SBC, one of the best value SBCs we have had of the year. He's going into the very meta tier. Let it all work out. My man, Ibericha, is going into the very meta tier. Now, I will say his selection of playstyles is very nice. He's got a lot of them. But an incisive or a tiki-taka would have been appreciated. But when I have used his gold rare card towards the beginning of the game, gauntlet, etc., squad battles, I've used him in, if you take that with a pinch of salt, obviously, but I have used him in some gauntlet, and he's really nice. The inventive, technical, maybe not so much now. A finesse is really, really nice to have. First touch, decent as well. As I said, maybe missing a tiki-taka or an incisive, then we could have been talking maybe best in the game, but I'd say he'd be lower end, very meta. Debatably A tier. Debatably A tier, closer to maybe a Szoboszlai because of that lack of incisive. Am I putting my Arsenal bias to a head here? I just think because of how important the incisive and tiki-taka is, we may say A tier, which does hurt, which does really hurt. But then again, if you're using him as a shadow striker though, you wouldn't really be using him as a playmaker because he's got no playmaking player role, which you could still, like, once again, I don't think we're at that stage of the game. Look, we won't overthink it. We'll stick with our guts and we'll say very meta. Balvin, A tier, very nice card, maybe missing that wow factor, but I think he's a nice cheaper option. He's the only card in the A tier, to be fair, without a playstyle plus. We may revisit that later, but for now, I'll have him in the A tier. Nathan Teller as well, he is a new screen card. So I did include him. I've not played him or used him. Probably one of a few players that we don't have a crazy experience with. But based off of what works and what doesn't, the incisive and tiki-taka and pinged pass, having 3 of those play styles is really, really good. His left stick dribble will feel quite nice as well. He does have no playmaker player role, but I still think it's enough to stay in the A tier. Thomas Muller, 100% has to be your shadow striker. That's just how Muller is going to be and how Muller is always going to be. I wouldn't really be using him as your playmaker, so I'll say Muller in the A tier. Paul Pogba, I've got in the very meta. Now, this is the incisive plus Paul Pogba. Now, with Pogba, I think he was overhyped. He was so hyped up, right? And you could choose the DM or the cam. Everyone, lots of people, I recommended to go for the DM. I took the DM. And he's good, he is good, but having that incisive plus, some people are saying is now better. Now, personally, loads of people are just saying that the best option is just not to do this Pogba SBC, right? So let me know, did you guys take the incisive one or the DM one? I think he's still going to be in the very meta because he's got the playstyles that fit it. I think as a centre mid though, it depends what type of centre mid you use. If you're using, for example, a ball-winning box-to-box centre mid, you'd rather this one here. But if you're using an attacking playmaker centre mid, you'd rather this one here. So it's very, yes, same position, but it depends really specifically on that role and how you actually use your centre mid, right? So I will still say very meta because of that incisive, the inventive is nice, trickster. And look, the DM one was scoring some great goals for me. Well, he scored a couple goals, but some of them were really nice, very techy, the trickster, etc. So I'd assume that this one will be better in that instance because of the extra shooting, etc. So you'll say very meta for Pogba. Totti, I've gotten the very meta. I do actually think he's a better cam than he is a striker as well because of mainly the play styles. Griezmann is between B or is he the first C tier card? I think my big issue with this Griezmann is he can't play as a playmaker, which you'd probably want to be using him. Why can I not spell? I've literally got his name over there. Griezmann. There we go. We got there in the end. Okay, never mind. He can play as a playmaker. Why did I think he couldn't? Incisive is really good. Technical, inventive, long ball. I mean, no tiki-taka, but for a 5,000 coin card, definitely harsh to say he's on a lower tier than a Dybala, Odegaard, Heaps, etc. I don't know why I thought he was for some reason just worse. His playstyles were worse than that. Pez will say B tier as well. I don't quite think he's on the level as those cards in the A tier. I think he's a little bit heavy. He's I think 6'2", so he's not going to feel too good on that left stick. So maybe you use him as a shadow striker like you would a Muller, but even then he is just a step below someone like a Muller. Evander, I'm going to say, I think A tier for Evander. Now, I've not seen too many people use him. I think I have matched him a couple times in Rivals, and the main reason was for that Lionel Messi link. An incisive, a technical there. You can play as a playmaker or a shadow striker. He was available as an SBC, but would I rather him than a Soboslai? Would I rather him than these guys? I don't know if I would. So we'll put him into the B tier. Jack Grealish, I'm going to say A tier, really, because, excuse me, I really like his playstyles. I do really like his playstyles. Now, he cannot play as a playmaker cam, only a half winger, but as I always say, I still think we're early enough in the game where it's completely okay to use a player not in their specific player role. Like, if they don't have a playmaker, you could still use them as a playmaker. Just don't play them completely out of position. So, like, don't play Grealish as a centre mid, because he can't even play as a centre mid, so he'd be all over the place. But as a cam, like, I think all cam player roles are viable, even if he doesn't have a plus this early on. You'd preferably have a plus. I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't, right? So as a shadow striker or a playmaker for this Grealish card, but with that incisive, inventive, I like him quite a bit as a playmaker. Really nice agility and balance too. I quite like that Grealish card. Now this man here, we see him in pretty much all of our packs. Alex Birin, I'm going to butcher that, but we'll just go with Alex. But man, he's in like all of my packs this week. Now for him, he's only 14k, very good value, pinged pass, incisive. You can play as a classic 10 or a half winger. Look, I think he's a nice cheaper option. 4-star is pretty nice. His left stick dribbling is going to feel really, really good. So I'm going to say the A tier for Alex. Xavi Simons may be the first card in the C tier, and I think the main reason is he's just outdated. His playstyle's absolutely fantastic, by the way. Playstyle's absolutely fantastic, but of course we're looking at an 84 gold rare card this late into the game. We did include him just to maybe make some space, and he's pretty common. He does play for the Scum as well, but I will say his playstyle selection, like if he gets one promo card, guys, that promo card is going to be very, very good. Take my word on that, because look at these playstyle selections. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. As I said, stats-wise, really letting him down. he's not gonna be great, right? Like playstyles, they can carry a card, but they can only carry a card so much. You get what I mean? So we'll say Simmons in the C tier. Chukwueze, is that how you pronounce it? Chukwueze? No, it's not. Chukwuemeka. Hopefully we're somewhat close there. We'll go Kani. Kani, there we go. Problem solved. B tier for him. Maybe a little bit more outdated. He was an SBC kind of, in the first couple weeks of the game. B tier for him. João Felix is in form. I'm going to say A tier. Very good for Ronaldo links, but even excluding Ronaldo, his finesse technical is really nice. He just looks really good. Shadow striker is how I'd use him. Not so much as a playmaker. I'd rather him as a shadow striker with that finesse specifically. So João Felix we've got there. Furman. I feel like Furman's more B tier. I think once again, I remember he had a really good Evo last year, but another promo card or a second team of the week and then would be up there. Only a precision header on it. Okay, never mind. It was just loading. It was his gold with a precision. I was very confused there. Yeah, a finesse, incisive and tiki-taka is really nice, to be fair. That is really nice. But I also, once again, feel like 79 stamina, 49 strength. 49 strength. 49 strength is pretty dang low. We'll say B tier for him, but another promo card, as I said, he'll definitely be up there. This Trejo card, very nice because he has got the Enforcer, and I think he is like 6 foot something. He might be 6 foot flat. No, he's 5'11". Okay, he's relatively tall, but with an Enforcer, 82 strength, that's respectable. Maybe some hold-up play, probably more so as a centre mid, although he can play as a playmaker plus. And I will say, although I haven't used him too much, I did play him in the final of a gauntlet, and he actually did really well against me. I was like, is this guy actually using this Trejo card? Because he is absolutely insane. Now I've got the final 6 cards, and they're some pretty high quality ones. I know we've spent lots of the last, 10 minutes in the B, C, A tier, but we are ending on a pretty big high here. And I didn't choose like all the icons and heroes. I've tried to choose, there's quite a few heroes on this list because there's been lots of hero packs, but I've only gone for 1, 3, 4, 5 icons because I feel like I want to choose icons that are affordable and lots of people have, although there's probably another 15, 20 icons that can make it. Having a Pele, a Maradona, etc. Like, is there much of a point? I'd be in the best in the game, but if, a couple thousand people see this video, only probably one of them, if that, is going to be having a Pele or a Maradona or a Zidane, right? So I tried to choose some of the more common ones. Now, Dennis Bergkamp is A or very meta for me. I do think, in fact, we probably will bump him down to the A tier. We've just got him sitting in the very meta for now because he is more of a shadow striker, so you wouldn't be using him as a playmaker. That regular finesse is nice. Game changer, inventive, incisive. Look, as a playmaker, as a shadow striker, it'd be really good. As a shadow striker, he will be pretty good. He is 6 foot with 80 agility and 80 balance flat, 93 composure, of course, it's Dennis Bergkamp. I think it'd be rude to not have him in the very meta. I'd honestly compare him to someone like a Totti, although I think Totti's more of maybe a playmaker, but I think similar type of build. I'm going to say very meta for Dennis Bergkamp, very meta for JJ Okocha. Maybe a debate for best in the game, but I do think if he didn't have a Trickster Plus and had something better than a Trickster Plus, then he would be in the best in the game. Like even a running play style like Debinha has, and he also doesn't have a tiki-taka or I'll say inventive or a incisive. There we go, we got there in the end. Francis Scoli, I'm going to say very meta. Now this Francis Scoli card does in fact have a incisive, and does he have a tiki-taka? No, but he does have an incisive, a finesse there as well, so I think he'll be really good. Sneijder, Sneijder, is he another card in the best in the game? He's either best in the game or the upper end of very meta, but I'm more leaning towards best in the game. He's got the pinged pass, which is nice, incisive. He's definitely a playmaker, not a shadow striker, because his only shooting play style is a power shot. So, I don't know, let's see. Would I rather him than Reijnders? No. Would I rather him than a Messi? No. Would I rather him than a Debinha? Close, but no. Bonmati and Putellas, maybe close, but no. I'm going to say very meta for Sneijder. Laudrup, I do like the incisive playstyle plus on him. Once again, a very, if not the best playstyle plus to have. And I'm waiting for them to us with the patch saying they've nerfed it. And to be fair, I hope not, because it can be quite good and it can help, find that incisive. If someone's playing a mid block or a low block, then it can help kind of break through there. He's got a playmaker plus. He is 6 foot, 80 balance. He's actually got respectable agility and respectable composure, not composure, ball control is what I was going to say. There we go. Like 91 ball control, 92 in-game dribbling is really good. 76 stamina, he may need to be subbed off. I do think, same case if we're comparing, would I rather him than an Eze? To be honest, I probably would. We're going to bump Laudrup down, and I'm actually going to bump Eze down as well. I know we were saying earlier about this Eze card, you know, do we keep him up, do we bump him down? But I do think he's closer to a Soboslai or a McTominay, especially once again, because he doesn't have that tiki-taka or that incisive. I think two very important playstyles to use. Now, if you were to use him as a shadow striker, which I did recommend saying, you know, you're going to use him as a shadow striker anyway, but even then having a tiki-taka to help link up with a striker, make those runs in behind, even an incisive, but more so a tiki-taka in that instance, is maybe something that he is missing. Now, with Zola, I'm going to probably lean towards very meta as a cam. As a striker, probably very meta too. I think this Zola card is really good. I just think, once again, no incisive, no tiki-taka, but playmaker, or you can use him as a shadow striker. I do think if you are lucky enough to pack him from your icon pack, you'd want to use him as a striker though. I'd rather him as a striker than a cam, especially because of that finesse plus, game changer, tricks is nice, technical. Like, I just think with the Zola, he's more of a striker than he is a cam, but he's still a very bloody good cam, okay? So we'll say Zola in the very meta tier. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the tier list. We've done lots of this in one take as well. Like, I feel like we've only had a few cuts. I've been talking for a while, but we got the mojo going, we smashed them out. So starting off with the best in the game, we've got 5 cards here, guys. We've got Putellas, Bonmati, Scream Dabinia, just because that 5-star left stick dribble is absolutely insane. Rating Reload Lionel Messi, and Rating Reload Reijnders. I think this Reijnders a little bit of a taller cam. It's kind of like Olives. You either love him or you hate him, or you just simply don't mind him. If you are someone that left stick dribbles with your cam a lot, it will be a very big leap having a 6'1" cam. But I do think with this card, it depends. Once again, I wouldn't be using him as a shadow striker, definitely. He has to be your playmaker, where he can play as a cam. But I'd back like an engine chemistry style just to make that left stick that much better. There it is. It's a top-notch cam with a tiki-taka plus, and he's still got that finesse. So when he is in front of goal, that 80 finishing, even with the base finesse, is going to feel more like 90, right? He's got the incisive, technical, but really that tiki-taka plus and that incisive combination is really what I'm looking at, which leans me towards putting him in the best in the game. Now, on the very meta tier, we've got Wirtz, we've got the informed Dabinia, Sissi, Rui Costa, Palmer. I'm not going to name every single card, but you can see the type of players we have here. I got Rosicky in the very meta, which some may say is pretty generous, but I've just had a really good experience with him. He's got really good play styles as well. You've got Guti, Hamsik in there, some really nice cards. Zola, Burkamp. Now in the A tier, it's kind of just a step below, but still some really good cards here. Landon Donovan, Soboslai, some of the newer screen cards like a Muller, who I do think you do have to use as more of a shadow striker than a playmaker. And when it comes to cams, it's really personal preference. But in this tier list, you know, you're going to have a card and they're either ranked as a shadow striker or a playmaker. Whatever their best position here is the rank that they're going in, essentially, or the tier they're going in. Labelle, who I did actually struggle against, and the pinged pass plus is really nice. But as I said, I do think her left stick dribble could be a little bit better for her being 5'4". Gold Rare Messi still kicking about in the A tier, that tiki-taka plus. In the B tier, you got some of the cards that maybe earlier SBCs like a Trejo, who was an objective, Evander, Paz, Carney, who are all SBCs but a little bit on the older side, but can still get the job done, and then some gold rares with some playstyle pluses really carrying them. The only card we've got in the C tier is Xavi Simons, although great playstyles, definitely the stats maybe just a little bit. A few weeks ago, he could have been, even a month plus ago, he would have been good, but maybe not so much now, you know, at the real beginning of the game. But guys, let me know what you think. If there's any card I did miss out, or if you've got an evolution or something like that, comment down below. I'll reply with the tier I would have put them in. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. I don't know, I did say maybe we do a centre mid CDM one next. Maybe a CDM one next. Maybe we do a CDM, because lots of centre mids can play CDM too. But then, I don't know, like, maybe we do them together. We'll see. Make sure to subscribe, notifications on, and you'll see when the next tier list video goes live, alright? See you guys later.